Welcome back to Book Bingers, the podcast where two best friends talk about books, book boyfriends, wingspans, theories, and right now we are specifically diving into our reread and theorizing, if you will. We're dabbling in it, of Iron Flame. Mm-hmm. We are here. We did it. We made it, you guys. We got through Fourth Wing, and we are in the end game now. We are
Onyx
only
Storm is so close.
Days away.
Yeah.
From Onyx Storm.
2 weeks.
That's it. So if you haven't started to reread, this is your sign to do it now. And we're going to go through it with you together. We will not be holding your hand through this, so hopefully you're familiar and you've reread it because we're going to spoil shit.
Yep.
And this tends to go off the rails. So
real quick.
Just follow our weird trains of thought. Uh-huh. We're not going to detail every single chapter because there's too much.
We can't. We will be here for days.
We'll be here for days, and no one wants to watch a 5-hour-long podcast of Sarah and I going on tangents. So, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. We opened where we left off.
Yes.
With
Brennan.
Violet and Brennan.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Okay. Brennan's alive. Surprise, surprise. Violet actually takes this in stride.
Yeah.
Better than I would.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it the way Mira takes it.
Absolutely.
So, way to go.
Absolutely.
Violet, you're already a better person than I am. Are we wearing the same shirt? No, we're not. Okay.
No, but
it took me a second.
The color scheme works.
Okay, so yeah, she's...
What I did before we get into... I know we're not going to go through the whole thing.
Okay.
But the epigraph for this...
Yes.
It's transcribed by Sorella Neilwart.
Yeah.
And that has to be
later.
Jacinia...
Yeah. Lineage.
Yes, there's the word.
Yep.
And so there's a history of scribes in that family.
Scribes play an important part.
Mm-hmm. They sure do.
We also find out Andarna's no longer the same.
She's not.
That's going to be a big theme throughout this book.
Yeah.
I'll
tell you, I get really a little bit upset of how little we see in Andarna in the first half of the book.
Truly, the first half of the book.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. A lot.
Yeah.
And when we do see Andarna, though, she really makes up for it with her snarky teenage vibes.
She's so sassy.
She's
fantastic.
Fantastic.
The dynamic between her and Taryn it's one of my favorite things.
I'm kind of like nervous for her to get older and be out of this. It's kind of like when Groot is so cute as a baby.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I don't like teenage Groot.
Yeah.
Like, I want baby Groot back. Mm-hmm. I don't ever want to get back to full-size Groot.
I know.
That's where I'm at with Andarna.
I know. She's going to make us love her, though.
I know. But I like her. Okay. Let's move on to, like, the first big important thing. Mm-hmm. Which is, in your mind, what? Because I was like, ooh, Andarna's not the same. That was, like, the big first thing.
Yeah, Andarna's bond looks different.
Yep.
And we find out that Brennan has changed his name. Mm-hmm. And I jump way forward where I'm taking notes at this point. We find out later that Aesaray, the name that he took, it's Tyrish for
resurrection.
Please be more on the nose.
Like, maybe Rebecca was like, people don't know.
Okay, but then, and again, we'll talk about this in 5 episodes from now.
Yeah.
There's a line that he says, but you weren't killed.
Yes.
So, you're just admitting, like, I just fully believe Brennan died, was resurrected, was the thing that everyone says can't happen.
Correct.
It happened.
Oh, for sure. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind.
And Naolin's involved.
1,000%.
Naolin's always involved.
Listen, you can't bring up someone's name that many times without me seeing him. Right? Same with Dad. Like, how many times are we going to bring up Dad?
Exactly.
The gods.
Exactly.
Naolin. Dad, they're all coming into play. You can't, and Zane's mom. You can't convince me.
All very important.
Otherwise, we could get through all 5 books, and I'm like, there's a novella that must be coming. Like, I refuse.
There are bonus chapters.
There must be bonus chapters. I refuse. Okay, and then we get to a moment, we're just gonna, where she's like, okay, let me just, like, walk around. And she comes across some other cadets, and they're eavesdropping. Mm-hmm. And we get to see Xaden for the first time in his own home with everyone kind of, like, listening to him. Yeah. And she still hasn't clicked in her mind.
No.
Do you realize how far in the book I get before she goes,
so long.
wait, are you kidding?
Yep.
Like 75% in the book. Like, I just read it.
Like, him sitting in the big chair was not even enough. Do you know what I mean?
No. Him saying, my woman, my chair. Like,
my house.
Still nothing.
No.
She still is like, oh, wait a minute. Like, girl, aren't you supposed to be the smart one? Like, I'm so confused. But she still hasn't put it together that, like, this is his house, he's important. You know it's his house. You didn't think, you did.
I know.
I'm just gonna fully throw it out there.
She's real dumb.
She drives me insane in this book, and I hate using the word insufferable, but there's no better word for it.
She's really struggling on so many levels in this book. She really is showing, like, I am a young person.
She really took 2 steps forward in the first book, and then took 2 steps back in this book. Like, her confidence is gone. It's really showing her age in the way that, like, even when I read about girls this age in other books, they're usually like, I don't know, running kingdoms and assassins and whatever. Yeah. And they never have this moment of, like,
weakness.
This. And I don't even mind it being a little bit, but it's so much.
Yeah.
The doubt on Xaden, the not forgiving Xaden for so long. And even when she says she does, she still is like, I'm not going to ask him the questions because I'm afraid of his answers. Like, I can't.
Yeah, it's giving CW
it's
show.
It's giving you're the red flag.
Yeah.
Anywho, she drives me
insane.
Like,
multiple times people are like, give her perfect examples of how she's doing what she's accusing Xaden of to other people. And she's like, oh, yeah. And then she still does it.
It kind of reminds me of the fights I used to get in with my boyfriend in college when I was drunk. You know what I mean? Like, I would hear myself, but I was like, I'm not going to let him know that I know I'm wrong.
No, time to double down.
Yes, it's time to double that shit down. And yeah, I guess that's the age she's at. So.
Yeah.
Good job, Rebecca. You can tell she has teenagers and, like, Gen Zs.
Correct. She drew from inspiration.
Yep. Yep. Ooh, okay, moving on. She drives me nuts. Let's fast forward. Okay, they're having a whole bunch of conversations. We find out that there's negotiations going on with the Viscount Takaris, however you want to say it. Sure. I just saw that video of how to pronounce everyone's names. You will not be hearing that from me. I cannot. I'm not even going to pretend.
No.
Okay. No. So.
I would sound more dumb trying to say them correctly.
So mind your business. I realize I'm saying everything's wrong. It is what it is,
okay?
I no Gaelic is happening for me. Okay?
Absolutely not.
I probably said Gaelic wrong.
Gallic.
Who
knows?
Anyways, so we find out that there's like another noble family. We're gonna see so much of another like world in this book that is actually pretty exciting. And I think that we're gonna open that up into the 3rd book, where we're gonna see just more and more and more of this
we have to
map and world. And
I really think we're gonna see a lot more of Rhiannon's family in this book.
I forgot
they come.
Yeah, and stay.
Oh yeah, I'm not there yet.
I forgot it completely happened.
But we'll definitely.
So yeah,
have to.
You're not wrong. And we see like
should have been
family.
2 books.
It should have been.
I'm just saying.
I am 76% in this book, and I'm like there are parts that I'm like, what?
I know.
And I'm detailing, trying to highlight things, and I'm still like, I don't follow.
I know.
And I don't think I'm dumb, but.
Listen.
There are some times where I caught myself going, huh? And having to reread things.
Yes.
And still not getting it.
Correct.
So.
Maybe it will all make
I will
sense
say.
Eventually.
I'm no longer convinced she's a truthsayer, because not 1, but 2 truthsayers are in this book. You're not going to give her something that a regular schmegular person like Nora has.
Yeah.
So now I'm no longer on that team.
Which is crazy to me.
And I think she's leaning into everybody thinking it's a truthsayer, but like she's looking for the truth.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I have my own theory now, which I'm sure everybody else has this theory too. I've been trying not to watch any theory things. Make my husband stop sending me links of his own theories. I was like, bitch, I don't want to be influenced by other people's theories. But that's a great one. You just
right. I saw one the other day that really feels like, oh, maybe that could be.
Oh,
something.
I need to know what it is now. Tell me. Is it? Can I say mine first and then you can? Because I don't want you to think.
Yeah.
Is it that she's a siphon?
It's not that.
Okay, tell me more.
This has to do with Liam.
Oh.
And when she sees Liam, when she's getting
Yep.
tortured,
Yep.
he says, like, something about Malik, and he says something like, I am where I need to be.
Yes.
And people
I
saying
highlighted
that
that.
it was Andarna, that maybe that was Andarna, and she can shapeshift, or that's part of her power, and Andarna was with her in that
Like,
moment.
while she was in the dreamless state, she was
Yes.
able to, like, oh, that is beautiful.
And because that is something that Andarna has said before, is like, I am where I'm needed, where I was
Yes. Oh, I kind of like that.
needed. Yeah.
I don't know how that plays into her power, but I like
I think
that.
to me, Andarna's power is like
everything.
limitless.
Limitless.
Which means Violet's power
I
is
really
limitless.
like that because
Yeah.
when we get to that scene, I'll point it out more, but it very much felt like Varish was answering Liam
Yes, it did. Yes.
upon reread.
Uh-huh.
I was like, huh? Are they talking to, like, can you hear him?
I know.
It was weirding me out. Like, every single thing Liam said, Varish would, like, respond with. And we'll detail that more,
Yeah.
because that's a long ways from now.
It sure is. It sure is. It's a book away in my mind.
Anywho, are you still with us? Do you see what I'm
Anyways,
talking about?
Chapter 1. I have this. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, follow that, because I'm going to get off topic.
This is like 15 pages in. It says, Brennan's resemblance to their dad is uncanny.
Yeah.
I just feel like that use of, like, uncanny. Part of me was like, maybe that is her dad.
Yeah.
And it's like
When he died,
something.
because of that broken heart.
Like, maybe it's
mended.
not really Brennan. Like,
Ooh! And you notice that, like, no one ever talks about how Violet looks like her siblings.
correct.
Like, she
Correct.
may get her, like, oh, I see where you get your strength
And I
from.
highlighted
and all
another
these different
thing
things.
way in which you probably highlighted it too.
Way in the future from now.
And their mom says, like, you're the only child he has left.
Yes.
And I was like,
I highlighted that too. And I was like, well, Mira, you know Mira's alive. You don't know Brennan's alive, but you know Mira's alive, so why would you say that? Just saying.
so I'm just, I don't know.
Just saying.
The father in the lineage is
Yeah.
murky for me.
Murky
Yeah,
at
yeah.
best.
Yeah.
But yes, I definitely have I saw that, and I saw how much everybody else resembles each other except
Yeah.
her.
I also, I wrote, she's bonded to Taryn, whose bonds get deeper with each rider, and whose previous bond was already so strong that Naolin's death nearly killed him. How many bonds can a dragon sustain?
That was my question too, because he's supposed to be, like, I don't know, the strongest, if not second strongest.
Yeah.
Dragon to ever. So, like, how many dragons has this man hit? And I don't know, maybe it's just me because I'm one of those people that need the answers to questions. I can't not ask them. I'd be like, how many, like, I would have already asked that. Like, where am I? Am I number 32? Like, 100? Like, where am I at?
Exactly.
Where am I at?
Exactly.
Like, or is it just your bond has to be so strong that even
because
one or
there's some
two
of
could
these
do it?
there's some of these dragons who I feel like
They
have
don't
just
care.
had riders die and die and die.
Yeah,
You know?
they're like, I don't care. Well, and they talk about, like, in the first book, like, your bond isn't as strong yet, but I felt like her and Taryn were immediate.
Right from the get-go.
Get-go.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe Taryn just feels deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, I love
think
him so much.
I also want to know what
Daddy.
the familial relationship between Coda and Taryn is.
Yeah.
Are they brothers? Are they cousins? Are they
I feel in my gut,
uncle,
they've got to be
nephew?
related.
Like, I just feel like
The only two black dragons?
they have to be.
They have to be.
Right?
Well, two for now.
For now.
But, spoiler!
But is she a black dragon?
I don't think she
You know,
is.
no,
I think
no.
Homegirl can...
I think she's a
chameleon.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, what's next on your list?
Now we're at chapter 2.
Oh, yes, let's move to chapter 2, because I'm going to stay here forever if
Yes.
we don't.
So she's talking to Brennan, and she says, "How exactly are you alive, Brennan? Where is?" Don't know how to say his dragon's name. Mar.
Yeah, whatever.
What are you doing here? Why didn't you come home? And he says one at a time, I glimpse a rune-shaped scar on his palm before he grips the edge of the table. What's that rune? What does that do? What is that?
I know. I'm just like, I'm really deep into the rune version of the story right now, and I'm like, now, I pick up on all the rune stuff. Did we already talk about this? Where Taryn's, they're talking about, I'm sorry your rider died saving my brother. Did we mention this already?
No.
So we're talking about Naolin, of course. And Terrence's previous rider, I suggest slowly, wondering if he was more than that to Brennan. He was the siphon who died trying to save you, according to Professor Corey. My heart sinks. And then she says, I'm sorry your rider died saving my brother. And he says, we will no longer speak with the one who came before you. Yeah, and then it was like, Nyolan didn't fail, but it cost him everything, which is in italics. So whenever something's in italic, that's important.
But it cost him everything. Everything, like his soul.
Yeah. So...
Because it doesn't say anywhere that he died.
No one ever says he died. No one. So, again, and why was I... Another thing I forgot. It's been a long time since I've read this book, okay? A year. It's been like a full year. I don't remember things I read a week ago. So, hang here with me. I didn't realize that... I already forgot my train of thought. Where the fuck was I going with that? Oh my god!
No one ever says Nyolan dies.
Oh, I didn't realize that there were different... I thought the mage...
The sage?
The sage was the highest. There's one even higher than that.
What's that one called?
The general or something? Like it's in one of the chapters, which I highlighted when we get there, that it's like they're going into the Venin. Like they find a book about the Venin.
Yeah.
And that there's an even higher one than that.
So is that the one that she starts having dreams about?
Must be. And then I find out that there's more than one. Because she's like, I know your sage, the Venin. And he's like, which one? And then she was like...
So it's not just one sage.
No, and I think that's where people's like theories of like it's Xaden and Violet, all of that shit come from. Because I was like, why do they think it's both? And I was like, see, but then
there's like definitely speaking lines like in the dream from whatever the sage is that like I've been waiting centuries for you.
Yes, and that's why I was like, well,
it's not Xaden.
Unless they're like weird little time theory.
No, but please don't do that.
Please don't do that. I don't want to read the sci-fi book.
It's already hard enough as
it
is.
I can't follow. Some of this stuff started getting really confusing for me.
Yeah.
When she's like, you know how in the first book I was like, this writer is brilliant. She's giving us information in the best ways. But then in Iron Flame, there were full info dumps of like different world, like parts of the world.
The hardest part for me is always the geography.
Yeah,
and like how I'm supposed to, what I'm supposed to know, what it means. That like this is at this elevation and this is next to this, so it would no.
Well, and even where we are now, like the thermal heat energy, and I'm like, how am I supposed to picture this? I need pictures. What happened to pictures in books? Like, give me. And I love a map at the beginning of the book, but I'm reading a Kindle. I can't just like. Go back.
It looks like we'll have to go to Target and get the nice colorful map, and then when we sit with our Kindle, we'll have the map open.
Yeah. I need to do what Janet did. Like, print it out and put it on the back of my Kindle so I can be like, what?
Hey, Janet, can you make those for us?
Thanks, Janet. Okay. I didn't take my meds today, and it's showing.
Ooh.
Okay. Continue. Lead this conversation, Sarah. Where we got next?
Well, then, I have, they're talking more about the Venin and what they know about the Venin, which is very little.
Same.
Yep. And we know that they have at least two breeds. This is on the Wyverns, one that produced blue fire and a faster one that breathes green fire. And so then Violet says, like, where are they making them? And he's like, do you mean hatching them? And she says, making. Don't you remember the fables Dad used to read us? They said Wyvern are created by Venin. They channel power into Wyvern. I think that's why riderless ones die when I killed their dark wielders. Their source of power was gone. And so, really, I think it's freaking insane that the knowledge that everyone has is coming from a book of fables in Violet's mind.
Well, and she's like, are you telling me you not only didn't know they were created, but you have no clue where they're coming from? And they're like, that's accurate. Like, they know nothing. She knows more than them on a kid's book. A kid's book that apparently she's the only one that has. But, like, what? You guys know nothing?
Correct.
You think they're being born and hatched? So, I don't know, and I don't think that I ever found out or yet, but I'm just kind of assuming the ones that breathe certain fire are the ones with riders, and the ones that breathe other fire are the ones without. Yeah. I don't know.
I think we really don't get a good look until that last final battle.
And I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Corey already finished, and he's like talking to me about stuff, and I was like, babe, I'm not there, and I don't remember what you're saying. So you have to bear with me. I'm making my way through it like everyone else right now.
No, oh my god.
And I'm like trying to read
when you're trying to fine-tooth comb it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Normally I would probably, and honestly, the first time I read this book, it was the day it came out. Yeah. Like I was devouring.
Yeah.
This is all new to me.
I know. I literally have not picked it up since.
Never since we started doing the Fourth Wing have I read so slow that I'm trying to like look for things with it.
And there are many words in this book.
There really are. Okay, so we find out that they're dumb and Violet knows everything. Uh-huh. Great. This is where we talk about the energy and the hatching grounds that Basgiath could be keeping them fed for decades. Yep. And yet Melgren thinks that the wards are so infallible that he won't alert the population. Or he's afraid of telling the public. All of that. Is Navarre the worst?
Yeah.
Is everybody there terrible? Like, I want to know, like, raise your hand if you know about the Wyvern. Like, who all knows?
I don't think anyone. I don't think nearly anyone.
I mean, her mom, I think
only the people who live on the very periphery of Navarre, who have come into contact with things or are keeping these, like, fables alive.
Yeah.
And then very few people within the government.
And, like, I think there's got to be at least a few professors. Well, actually, we find out later that a couple of them do, and that's why they're trying to, like, feed her information. Yeah. But I'm like, what do you do with that knowledge? Because you can't convince me that some of these people aren't healing people and then turning them into Venom. Like, or know that they're Venom. Like, who all dealt with Jack? You know, like, everyone that was in that room.
I also feel like, I don't know. I just think that we're going to find out there's a lot more Venom that are
walking
just
amongst
everyday
us. They're not activated yet.
Yeah, I do. I really do.
And I, like, rereading this, I'm like, oh, they can look totally normal.
Yeah.
It's not until they feel an intense emotion that the red can, you know, come out and whatever. And I'm like, well, how many of them are there? How many of them are able to control that in them?
Yeah.
Saying. It's going to be interesting to see how. I think we'll learn obviously so much more because Xaden's now one that we'll see how he deals with it. But geez Louise.
I know.
Anywho.
They find out that the iron box that Garrick found at Ressin is some kind of lure. Mm-hmm. A box like that was found in Jana already smashed, but the craftsmanship is Navarian. So like these lures. This is where I start to get a little bit confused. Like, multiple times lures are mentioned in that Navarre has made them and this, that, and then we find out in the final battle there's these lures that have been planted everywhere. So the lures are for Venom, the lures are for Wyvern. Who are we luring? What's the point of the luring? What are we... I just need someone to explain it to me like I'm 5.
I know. And all the, like, runes that, like... I have a hard time thinking that Xaden, like, put these runes in her, like, dagger, knowing that one day she'd meet Kat. What? Like, wait.
The one with the unlocking the door, great. I love that one. Great. Makes sense. Okay, that's useful. But
the cat, I was like, huh? Like, why didn't you just tell her about the runes? Like, after you guys had your big fight and you were like,
I know, it doesn't
I'm not keeping anything from you anymore.
It doesn't seem like a thing that needs to be under wraps.
Especially when she was like, I'm gonna, like, you have to tell, and he's like, trust that I'll tell you everything you need to know about anything involving your safety, but I'm not gonna tell you about the key in your dagger that could unlock things that you need.
I can't. I know.
Or like, hey, keep this dagger on you at all times because it's going to protect you.
It's really, I have hope that they took the appropriate amount of time with Onyx Storm to make it what it needs to be, because I remember struggling through this book the first 2 times I read it, and it is also a struggle for me this go around.
Well, she has said that Onyx Storm is her favorite one so far, so if it doesn't live up to Fourth Wing, then I might have a problem.
I know.
Anywho. Let's keep going.
We also find that Orisha has a dormant ward stone.
Yeah.
And that's lost magic. And my question is, like, how much of magic has been lost?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And, like, is Violet the key? Is Violet...
You know, it's funny because they often are like, is it magic? And they it seems so like crazy that the idea of magic could exist. You guys all have signets. What are you mean?
So
why
are
is
you
the
telling
idea
me
of
like
magic
what
so?
Venom are using is magic?
That's what it sounds like. When they're like flabbergasted by the idea of magic, but you wield what, lightning? Okay.
Because that's not magical at all. But they don't know how to activate the ward stone, so basically it's dormant.
Yep. Then we talk about how something, in italics, killed off the Venons 600 years ago during the Great War. We're actively searching for that weapon. Again, you can't convince me it's Nana and Darna. Mm-hmm. Forging the daggers that will keep us in the fight long enough to find it, as long as we can get that luminary. The luminary is going to be annoyingly important.
What is a luminary? What is it?
How are you picturing it? Because I picture it like a stone, like a plate.
What I'm picturing
like a stop sign.
What I picture is like a long bulb.
They never really
like
describe what it looks like.
That I would like hook into something.
Yeah, they never describe what it looks like.
It's the filament.
I've been looking for it. I'm like, what does it look like? I don't know what to picture here. I don't know what I'm...
We really do enjoy these books.
I know it sounds... Because we're picking things out, but I do... Rereading it, I still love it. Let it be known.
Absolutely.
But I'm like, what am I looking for? What is it? I know it's something that's going to power the word stone, but like,
What do you mean?
What do you mean? You talk about it so much and not one time do you describe what it looks like.
It's like I wish an interview with Rebecca would just be someone being like, okay,
can she hold it in her hand?
I'm
confused.
confused.
Does it take multiple people?
Can you just explain this to me?
What does it look like? How many people do I need?
But people ask these big convoluted questions. Just ask her, like, what is it?
Yeah, what does it look like? Do you have a picture? What are you picturing in your mind?
Please.
Could my daughter pick it up? How heavy is it?
Can I transport it in a bag?
Yeah. Do I need my dragon to carry it? Like, what's up?
And Darna does say, like, could you carry the luminary and me at the same time? And he's like, you insult me.
Yes. so it's not something I can pick up.
It's not tiny?
Yeah.
You need a dragon?
How many people do you need to install it? Do you need tools? Like,
what does it go in? Does it just rest in a forge?
Correct. Is there like, do we got to open something up and Tinker Tailor? You know what I mean?
Soldier
Tailor,
Spy?
Soldier Spy? Like, what do we got to do here? Anyway, and who knows the knowledge of that? But like, is there a mechanic?
They don't know anything about Venom, but they know they need the luminary.
Yeah, they know a ton about the luminary.
And what is it made of that there's only two?
But also, What's-His-Face has a book about the Venom that I'm learning a ton about. What do you mean you don't know anything about it? Didn't you ask him? You should ask him for the book. Fuck the luminary. Ask him for the book. Like, what is happening? Okay.
Oh.
We do like the book.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We also find out that Brennan's dragon is orange.
I know. I think I forgot that.
Orange dagger tail.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Do we think that is this like a Slytherin type thing where you're just like, they're Slytherin? Or do we think every orange dragon is... You know how when later they're given a choice, the cadets, and some of their dragons just are silent? They don't confirm anything?
Yeah.
Are those all
Like,
oranges?
Imogen's dragon is also orange.
Oh, don't. I like it. No, don't. So maybe it is a Slytherin thing, where they're not all evil.
They're not all evil, but maybe they're predisposed to that.
Yeah, there's not a dragon that's turned bad that wasn't
Correct. See, we're just trying to make it make sense to other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it.
We're just trying to make it make sense to ourselves as well.
Correct. When you put it that way. Also, we find out that Sigale doesn't like Brennan.
Which, that to me is more telling
That's a red flag.
Anything. Major red flag. You know who I trust more than anyone? Her.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Her. More than Taryn.
I agree.
Which is wild.
I know.
But like, her judgment, I think we're going to see her struggle a lot.
I know.
Moving forward. But her judgment, because she has been around Brennan for years.
Correct.
And if she still hasn't come around to him, Ooh.
I need to know why. Like, why?
But also, what is Xaden's feeling on Brennan? Because it seems like he trusts him.
He trusts him enough to be on Violet's side.
And the fact that Sigel still doesn't like him, even if Xaden does,
yeah,
that means maybe she knows something about his dragon.
Correct.
Just saying. So I trust her. Maybe it's an ex-lover.
Oh my god.
Would not give me a dragon tale, okay? I want the dragon stories.
Give me the dragon tea, okay?
Dragon tales, dragon tales. Did you ever watch that?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. How many times do you think I say anyways in moving on during this podcast?
A couple.
Take a shot.
As many times as I say absolutely.
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 Uh-huh.
So they're talking about how they have to go back. They have to go back. That's like the consensus. They have to go back to Basgaiath.
Yeah, because otherwise it's like they defected
and all the other kids that are there are Signet lovers. They're probably going to die. Which they are anyways.
The
relics. Did I say Signet?
Signet lovers.
Our relic boys. Our relic gang.
Yeah.
They're all going to die.
Correct.
If they don't go back. Spoiler. They kind of all do anyway.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them.
I know. It's all the ones that rest. Half of the ones that rest him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
I know.
That sucks. But they got to go back to not only to save them, but obviously because they got to keep getting weapons and they got to keep getting intel. All the things.
We find out a little bit more about Andarna.
Mm-hmm.
Her scales are black.
Yeah.
But they glimmer and they're almost purple and iridescent.
This is why I think
yeah, it's not black.
No. Well, and doesn't she say at one point, like, I just wanted to look like them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's twice the size that she was.
Yet still not very big compared to
no.
Taryn. No. She says at one point, like, he comes up to, like, a certain part of her body.
She's still little.
She's still little, but she's getting bigger.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you think she'll eventually be the biggest?
No.
Is this where we're headed? Or do you think she'll
She's
stop?
just gonna grow.
She'll just never stop.
Oh my god.
But do you think she'll be bigger than Melgren's dragon or Taryn?
No, but I think she'll be more powerful.
Oh, for sure.
I just don't think she'll be
I think she has to say smaller because
in my mind she's toothless.
Yes, but also like Violet was considered weak and because she was little. And and obviously she's the most powerful. And I feel like Andarna still needs to stay on the smaller
and we
side.
find out that like Andarna will never have a rider, and I just don't believe that.
I don't believe that. She doesn't believe it, so I don't believe it.
And I just believe that is going to be like the
to me that's the same as like people saying Violet will never be able to ride a dragon.
Correct, exactly.
There's no way we don't see Violet ride Andarna. Calling it.
We also find out that tails are a matter of choice and need.
Yeah.
So they're not hereditary. They decide.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at what point does she decide? Do you know what I mean? I think we find out in this book.
Why do I just think she's going to willy-nilly be able to switch her tail depending on what she needs?
Because she's
Andarna.
Would make the most sense.
Right?
Yes.
I want to see the most magic from her. Like, give me all the magic abilities.
We will.
All the things. Limitless.
And then oh my god, only just now getting to chapter 3.
You know, what's another fun game to play when you're reading this book? Take a shot every time they say dreamless sleep.
Oh boy. She's in it for a long time. 50% of the book.
They say it all the time.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Goodness. Yes. Good night. Okay, chapter 3. We're cooking.
Yeah. And so we find out griffins and dragons, like they're flying back to Basgaiath, and like Violet's talking with Taryn, and says that neither species has ever been entirely truthful, both using the other for their own reasons and nothing more. This is talking about dragons and humans.
Yeah.
It never occurred to me to hide anything from you.
Yeah.
That's what Violet says to Taryn. And he says, I can do nothing to remedy the last 9 months besides answer your worthwhile questions now. So she's still struggling a bit with...
Yeah, we also find out the first 6 riders were desperate to save their people when they approached the dens over 600 years ago. So, humans were brave 600 years ago.
They sure were.
Are you insane? And they formed the first Imperium bonded human only to protect their hatching grounds from Venin, who were the bigger threat. We don't exactly have opposable thumbs for weaving wards, he says. Or runes. That, like,
Yeah.
why didn't she say, what are runes? Like, what he said, we don't have a plus both thumbs for reading wards or runes.
Yeah.
Neither species has ever been truthful, both using the other for their own resources. Yeah. But, like, girlfriend, do you know how many times runes are brought up and you not one time were like, what?
Where is the history that says the thing that got rid of the venom 600 years ago?
I think
do you know what I mean?
In my mind, that must be the truth she's trying to find in the third book.
That's the lost magic. That's
what we have to find, right? Because in my mind, once we find that information, then we know what we need to move forward into book 4. Then we find it in book 4, and then the big battle happens at the end of book 4, which we're like, how are we going to move forward? We lost everybody. And then book 5.
Yeah, I'll be mad if we don't find out in book 3.
I think we have to find out, because we got to know where we're going in book 4.
You can't just dangle us along for another whole book.
We got to find out so I know where we're headed. You know? It's book 3.
Yeah.
This is the big book. This is the big, everything you thought you know changes book.
Correct. That's what I hope.
That's what I hope. If she's following the 5 series, or the 5-book series, like, script, like, then this is what happens in book 3.
This is the outline.
This is the outline. This is the formula. Mm-hmm. She's a romance author. There's a formula. You got to follow it.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know why I highlighted this, but I'm going to
go for it.
Okay, so we're talking, her and Andarna are talking, and Taryn, and she says, maybe you should work on your own landings before taking our bonded on a flight to meet Malik. Can we meet Malik? Can we meet Malik?
I think people have met Malik.
Is there actually a place we can go
to
meet Malik?
Let me tell you, when we resurface on Jack, Jack has a line
he
where
does.
he says
I highlighted that too.
That he met Malik.
Yep.
And that made him reassess
everything.
Yep. And so I have so many questions about Jack, but I truly, firmly believe that we will meet Malik.
Absolutely. And I think it's going to be, I don't know, like an actual
For some reason, Malik is very much seems like he's on Violet's side.
Yeah. Why else would you send Jack back? This is I can't help but picture Malik as just like, I can't help but picture, and maybe it's because of the own book that I'm writing, but I can't help but picture Malik as like Hades in the underworld. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Where it's just like, he's not good or bad. It just depends on what you did in your life.
Yeah.
And I think that he probably has people he roots for and people he roots against. And I think he's, like a godly underworld.
I love Hades in almost every single book that I've
ever read. And I don't think that it's just like the evil devil character. I think it's like Hades.
Misunderstood.
That's what I'm picturing. Yeah. Picturing Hades.
Death is inevitable.
Probably got a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
A little sarcastic.
Malik isn't killing people.
No.
He's just the god of death.
And just like in other things where we read gods, people burn things for the gods.
Correct.
But I don't think that they're smiting anyone that's not doing it, obviously. And I think it's more like maybe you burn it so that in the underworld they have their things.
Or maybe it's just something that humans came up with.
Yeah.
Just because.
Which is usually the case.
I still think they came up with it so that people couldn't be resurrected or something.
Absolutely. I'm not saying absolutely anymore.
Absolutely. I also say correct too many times.
Correct. So every time I see Malik, I think of Hades. Maybe you're there with me. Maybe you're not. But this is what I'm
picturing. But now you will be.
But now you understand that I live in a Percy Jackson world. And I'm like, we're going to get to go to the underworld.
Yeah, I would like that.
I would love to go to the underworld. Maybe she has to save Xaden from it. I don't know. Maybe they're just going to have a conversation. Beats me. But we're going to see Hades, a.k.a.
Malik. Temple somewhere that has a portal.
Little stairs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Down. You got to go through the Hollywood sign. I don't know. They're there. Mm-hmm. It's happening. Okay.
Yep.
Moving on.
Oh my god.
Take a shot.
So they get back to school and they see Colonel Atos.
Fuck that guy.
And he's like, you hate him because he says that he's spitting when he's talking too. There's nothing more disgusting.
What a intense scene. though, like them all walking in, and they might be dying. They might not know. They don't know. But the smugness that Xaden just is like, well, I'm still alive. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
I know in his head
they're
he's
about to
scared.
read off their names on the roll, saying that they're dead.
What a moment. I can't wait to visually see this come to life. Don't do me wrong.
I'm just going to say this now because if I don't say it, I'm going to forget it.
Yeah.
But there's a moment when we actually finally see Bodhi's signet. Yeah. And he, Professor Carr, sends flames up, and Bodhi, does a, Doctor Strange move in my head and counteracts the signet. And I'm like, oh my god, this is going to look so good on screen.
Which is super cool because we only know what Violet knows. Okay, but Violet doesn't even know his signet until this book.
Yeah. We don't know, so many signets until this book.
Nunsies. Also, you can't convince me that they don't all have two signets. Yeah. After just reading about the rock rune scene.
Yeah. Yes.
They all have it. You can't, nope. Prove me wrong, and until then, this is where I sit. Mm-hmm. So, what other signet does Buddy have? How does he practice in class? What do these ones with the secret ones do in class when they're in these classes?
I don't know.
Sit in the corner? Like they have their period and it's gym class? What were you doing
What
here?
does Imogen do?
This is my question. I know. But anyways, clearly Rebecca's not thinking about this when she's writing it. Because, good gravy. I have a lot of questions for her. Mm-hmm. If I were to meet her, I wouldn't be asking these lame questions that I see on TikTok. I have deep
I just need to go out to lunch with Rebecca and just chat through all these thoughts that I have.
You don't even have to tell me what's going forward. I just want you to describe and help me understand what I've already read. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. The fact that she's like, I don't know how people didn't pick up on it. Am I an idiot?
I still don't know.
I still just have guesses. Nothing's confirmed in my mind as to her second signet.
And
but I do have a better guess now.
With the Truthsayer thing, I keep looking for examples, but I just feel like there have not been any.
Yeah, the whole, I can't lie to you. Okay, but there are two other Truthsayers. There's no way her big, reveal second signet is going to be something Nora has.
What do you think it is?
I think it's that she can siphon the power of whoever is around her. We see her do it with Mira's ability. Mm-hmm. When the venom comes out, that Mira, who has said she's tried to do shields, couldn't do them. We see her do it when she goes into Xaden's mind in the throne scene, which, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know, maybe the whole truth thing is because she's already around a Truthsayer at that moment, or maybe she just doesn't know that she has the power to take on whoever power is in her vicinity.
Interesting. But maybe not a siphon in the sense that she's pulling their power,
but can just in Powerless, when he's he has to be near them and he can use Kai. That's kind of what I'm picturing. And maybe she'll eventually be able to talk to dragons because Aunt Darna can talk to, and she can just
It sure seems like she can talk to dragons.
It sure does. Or they can communicate in some way. Maybe sign language will come into play. I don't know. Who knows? But we
she for certain. I again think that she can talk to dragons because when they're in that RSC thing and they see Bade, Jack's dragon, and she talks to the dragon and reminds them Taryn knows where I am.
Yes,
I'm Taryn's rider.
Well, and I think dragons can fully understand all humans,
right?
But I don't know, hearing them back. And I wonder if all these different languages that she knows will eventually she'll have a dragon the language from way 600 years ago that the dragon riders used 600 years ago that she'll be able to communicate with. Something like that.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Scribe brain.
Who knows? But I don't know. I'm just not convinced that she's a Truthsayer. It just seems too normal.
Yeah.
If I see someone else with it, I'm like, oh, well, she's not going to have it. That wouldn't be the big surprise second signet for her.
No. And don't you think that she would have, picked up on, having a gut feeling when someone's lying? She just hasn't shown
Correct.
There's
That,
there's no like tingle or this, that,
no,
you know?
and I won't be surprised if in the next book, all of a sudden, she's able to take something through a wall and it hands, you know what I mean? Because she's around Rhiannon. Like, I don't know, but we talk about, there's like one of the opening things about a siphon.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And then Corey was like, do you think she's a siphon? So this is actually Corey's theory. And I was like, oh, maybe. And then I started looking for that. And you know when you're looking for something, you can kind of find anything to support your evidence. So I don't know. But the Mira thing and the Brennan thing, or and the Xaden thing are very like, how did she make the war? Like, how did she get the shield to go? And they all come together. A little family hug. And then all of a sudden this super powerful shield comes over them.
Okay, well now I'm going to be looking for that.
But I'm also never married to a theory.
Yeah.
It only leads to disappointment when you're married to theories. Been there, done that.
But the fact that she says that we should know it already from this book.
And that's why, that was the only thing that I was like, oh, maybe because she actually talks about a siphon at the beginning of a chapter.
Yeah. And that's way before we know about Sloane.
Yeah. Way before we know about Sloane. And I think Sloane's is probably
I think she is a classic siphon.
A classic, like, she has
textbook.
Yeah, and I think that, I don't know, maybe with Andarna, our whole, like, chameleon theory where she can just become anything and everything. Yeah. Maybe that'll be... I mean, what's cooler than that? Like, where do you go from there? Like, when I think of Kai's power, when you can have every power, that's the highest, right?
I think that's the best. Absolutely.
What's higher than that? Invisibility? I
think the limit to his power is that he needs proximity. But, like,
correct.
Maybe Violet gets to a point that once she touches a power, she has it.
Yeah, she has it forever.
That would be fucking awesome.
That'd be pretty dope.
Yeah.
Just pull it out of her trick. But I don't know. I just feel like if someone else has a power, she can't have it. No one else is a lightning wielder. No one else could stop time. Why would we give her a regular schmegular thing now?
Oh, I did see a thing, and I kind of like this.
Tell me.
That Andarna, it says specifically that Andarna gave her power.
See, so maybe she owns it.
To Violet, so that is not her thing. That has nothing to do. It's actually she was given that power and that she still has it.
I mean, see, that would go into my theory of her just being able to, like, have a bag of tricks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways, back to this chapter, which I think is chapter, I don't know, it might be 5.
I thought we were on 3.
It might be 4. It might be 4.
Great.
Because we have Colonel Atos, and then she sees Dane.
Fuck Dane.
Maybe touch me, and I swear to the gods I'll cut your fucking hands off and let the quadrant sort you out in the next round of challenges, Dane Atos.
Can you just imagine from Dane's point of view? Because we come to find out later that Dane had no idea.
No idea.
So can you just imagine, like, if we were to take
your
a moment...
Your best friend.
That you literally a second ago
you thought she was dead.
And now you're so excited and happy. You're going to hug her, and they're like, "Fuck you!
I'll cut your fucking hands off."
What like the confusion and like what his like mind must have thought. I can't help but like kind of laugh if we could just take a second in other people's POVs.
He must have been in like the worst place during like he disappears for quite a bit of time. Like he finally gets the clue.
I think he had some depression, you guys.
I think so.
I think a real like come to Jesus moment. Finding out the love of your life and your best friend hates you. Your dad just like is evil.
Yep.
How do you come to terms with that? And like the other girl that you had once boinked, she did. Like you just got nothing and no one. No one likes you. Everyone hates you. Your whole squad hates you. Like where do you go? Does he have any friends?
I don't think so.
I never hear about him with a friend. That's so sad, you guys. All he had were the rules, and those are gone now.
Some people think him and Kat.
Listen,
maybe eventually.
I'm here for it.
That would be fun.
I also have kind of weirdly picked up on this Sloane in him.
Ooh. Whoa.
Right? The one that killed her brother. What a story. Wow. That's a real enemies to lovers story over there. Is. Just saying.
I'll take that novella.
And I hate to... I don't think he killed her brother. Like, I don't mean that when I say that, but everybody else does.
He didn't purposely
He didn't know.
Anyone.
He didn't know.
No.
He liked Liam. Anywho. Poor Liam. I'm so sorry. Liam and Dane, they deserved better. Here we are. Sloane's a real real bitch too.
Yeah,
For a good portion of this book.
When she pops in, she's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love her. I really love her.
So, we get our first, in chapter 5.
Yeah.
The start of chapter 5. The epigraph, we get our first glimpse at Varish. And it says, after 3 consecutive deaths of prisoners during his interrogations, it is this command's opinion of that Major Burton Varish be reassigned from an active wing until further notice. And so we already know, like, he sucks.
He sucks. He's Umbridge in my mind. Who do I hate more? I don't know. Varish.
He's worse than Umbridge.
Oh, worse.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Then they graduate, right? And so now they have like this party time before everyone is off to their places, because at this point Xaden's going to be leaving. Everyone that graduated, they're getting their assignments to whatever outpost that they're going to be stationed at, and everyone else has their now second years, and they have a couple days to party until the newbies come in.
Yeah. They also have a moment. Well, everybody's bothering Violet, asking her about what happened. She's like, I don't want to fucking talk about it. But I guess I didn't realize that you're not supposed to talk about people once they're dead.
Yeah, so weird, right?
So weird. So they have a moment where Imogen and them are talking about it, and they like say to Liam, like with their drink, they like lift their glass, defying the unwritten rule that we don't speak of the dead cadets after their name is read from the roll. What kind of bullshit life is this?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I said the small acts of defiance. It's kind of nuts that the unwritten rule is that you don't speak about them.
That's wild. I'm so sorry. You guys are terrible. What's wild is when they realize that, like, the Griffins don't have anything like this, and they're like,
What?
Yeah. Are we
the weird ones?
The weird ones?
Yes,
you are.
We also find out, like, this is what makes me think, like, maybe the temples and the gods will come into play.
This is the thing that makes you think it?
Just one of the things.
Yeah.
It's like a reaffirming.
Sure.
For me. Stop by the Temple of Zinal. So there are these temples.
Yeah.
To pay the god of luck my respects. So I have to believe that there are temples to all the different gods.
It's like Greek gods, right? Like a temple of Athena and all of that. Yeah.
So I've got to think there's got to be a temple to Malik. There's got to be something that's going to lead us to one of these temples.
Correct. They just got to find the 3 orbs. That'll take the pearls that'll take them there. Okay?
I think I've read
One's in Vegas.
I think I've read that story before.
Okay, and then they got to say goodbye.
The worst.
Yeah, the worst. The worst, especially because she's still mad at him.
She's still mad at him, but still very much cares about him. But
yeah. Then we also...
But he's so confident. He's so confident that, like...
Talk about a role reversal.
I'm going to get us back. Like, the anticipation will be good for us.
Yeah. Cadets Violet Soringale is hereby given 2 days of leave once every 14 days. So not what they thought it was going to be. That's a real kicker, I bet, for Taryn.
Yeah.
I thought we would see more anger from him, like going through like withdrawals. We don't.
No.
So it makes me think they can probably be away from each other for a long time.
Probably.
That's what I think.
I think that they very much are taking advantage of, like...
They've been around for a few hundred years.
We're mated dragons.
Yeah.
This is what we need.
This is what we need.
Because this is what we're telling you.
But, like,
I think they're fine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because at no point... So
that means they're going to see each other, like, once a week. Once every 7 days.
That's the plan.
Is the hope.
That's the hope, that they're going to see each other once a week. They, turns out, don't really see each other that much. Which, for me as a reader, kind of annoying. Give me more Xaden. Correct. I didn't get enough Xaden in the first, half of this.
No. And we end chapter 5 with Colonel Ados saying to Xaden, secrets make for poor leverage. They die with the people who keep them.
Holy threat town.
Yeah.
Wowzers. And he's going
and
to
we
follow
see
through
this
with
sentence again and again and again.
Yep. So we open with chapter 6. What no one openly says is that while all 4 quadrants obey the code of conduct, a rider's first responsibility is to the coda, which often overrules the regulations and other quadrants live by definitions. The riders make their own rules. That's fun. Let's keep going. This is, again, where I think Dane has no thought process for himself. He literally lives by a book and what he's been told. And I think we're going to also see in the 3rd book a real big transformation in Dane because he's very skilled. Mm-hmm. And I think we're now going to get to finally see him have his own thought process. And
who is Dane outside of his dad?
Who is Dane outside of his
the system?
Navarre and what happens when he actually follows his
You
own
won't get to
thoughts
see it until like 55% of the way
until
through the
Violet
book.
sees it, I guess.
It's coming.
Yep. That's the I love a first person POV, but that is also the downfall, as we only know what they know.
Correct.
So there's that. Where are we at? Where do you want to start with? Okay.
So like they're trying to say their goodbyes. Basically, Violet is so mad because their lives are being threatened, and she reaches out to Andarna. Here's our first mention of dreamless sleep.
Yep.
And you can tell she's fighting the sleep. She's so tired.
Yep.
And so they're just going back and forth with that means we're only gonna have a couple hours together, and Sigil and Taryn won't be able to talk over the distance. They'll sense emotions.
I also love this scene though because they're fighting, but they have to put on an act that they're having an embracing goodbye.
Yeah. So they look fine like this, but they're fighting in
they're
their
fighting
brain.
in their head, but they're hugging each other and embracing, and I just think that is a good visual in my brain.
And it's so difficult for Violet now because he tells her you basically can't tell any of your friends anything.
Only trust those who are at resin. Yeah.
And so if you can't tell them, you need to lie. And this causes... We love Rhiannon for just how she handles this whole situation.
Better than I would have.
Absolutely. But she really, you see her completely distance herself from all of her friends.
Everybody but Imogen. Yeah.
Which everyone's like, what the fuck?
Because if you remember from their point of view, her and Imogen are not friends.
No.
Imogen tried to kill her.
In Imogen's point of view, they're not friends. You know what I mean?
Imogen is go talk to your friends. I'm not here for that. Which is... Of course they're friends. Imogen, how dare you? You know you love her. Okay, so bye, Xaden. He leaves. That's basically all that happens in this.
We find out that Rhiannon is squad leader.
Yay.
So yay. Good for her. Chapter 7. This is going to be, we're going to stop
gonna end.
after chapter 7.
Stick with us.
Okay? We're almost there.
We're almost there. Okay. I feel not all that much happens in this one either. We find out that fewer dragons are bonding.
The first thing that I noted was they see Nadine.
Oh, yeah.
And Rhiannon goes, what happened to your hand? It's embarrassing. I slipped and sprained it on the steps last night. Don't worry. The healers think Nolan might have an opportunity for me tomorrow before Parapet. He's been run ragged since the War Games.
Yeah.
Do we really think that she slipped and sprained her wrist? Do we think she was doing something else? I don't know why I said that, but at some point when I was reading this, I was like, what else?
I don't know. I didn't put any thought into Nadine.
Fair. I mean, she ends up dying, right?
She does. So, I mean, maybe.
Secrets die with those.
Secret die, yeah.
I mean?
What I highlighted was her conversation with Taryn where he says fewer dragons are being bonded. And she says, is that because the Imperium knows about the venom? He says, yes. I can almost hear the exasperated sigh in Taryn's voice. But we need more riders, not fewer, she says. The Imperium remains divided on whether or not we should get involved. Humans aren't the only ones keeping secrets. What would make them not? If you're a dragon, what would make you not want to fight the venom and, get involved?
Maybe you think that this is on the humans. The humans have made this problem, so they need to be the ones to fix it.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Maybe they're team, we're just going to keep ours safe.
Yeah.
They've been keeping themselves safe.
Yeah.
But what I wonder is, at any given moment, the venom can turn on the dread. Are they not
Correct.
I don't know.
I mean, the Venom want their hatching grounds. They want the magic that's in the veil. So
yeah, it's interesting. It kind of reminds me. I can't help but compare everything.
Or are they Team Venom?
I mean, they could hate the humans too. Who knows? But it's interesting. I have to just assume it's more of a cowardly thing. Like, we don't want to lose lives for humans. Kind of like in ACOTAR, how the queens are like, this is on you.
Yeah.
We don't care.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you care? I don't know. You know what I know? What I know about myself? If anything were to come to like a war or here, I know I'd die because my morals are too fucking high that I'd be like, well, I guess I'm dying.
That's it.
For all of you who don't care to die for me, I guess I'm dying for you. I know this about myself. There will be no Janelle lasting through anything.
And unless your powers manifest, you're toast.
Maybe 41 is the age.
I heard that about.
I can't wait to get my letter.
Yeah, 41.
Yes.
I highlight everything in the book with Caroline Ashton's name.
Yeah.
I think that, and I have nothing to base this on.
Great.
Other than her proximity to Jack.
Yeah.
Her, relationship with Markham.
It's the only person we've seen him really have a relationship with.
That she is one of these, is a Venom, looks not like
I fully agree. I fully agree with that.
Because she's just seems to always be with all those people that she
fully
shouldn't
agree.
be. Yeah. Okay. Great. I'm glad you agree.
Yep, right there with you. Right there with you. Okay, so we go to orientation and
she goes down and she meets Jacinia.
Jacinia, yep.
She's been waiting for Jacinia's name to be on the scribe schedule.
Yep.
And she finds out that Jacinia is the first in her year and she's taking this advanced path to try to be curator, which we then find out, we assume that this was going to be Violet's path, obviously. Yeah. So you have to assume that Markham probably assumes Jacinia will continue along the path that he had laid out for Violet.
Yeah. Which we find out later from the mom was to eventually tell her all of this stuff.
To weave the blindfold.
For
the next generation.
And she knew her daughter well enough to know that there's no way she would have kept quiet and it would have killed her.
Yeah.
But with Jacinia, we don't know anything about Jacinia and where her morals lie and how, all of that. So she's being groomed.
Yes.
To become the next him. But really that's about all that happens is she goes down and she's like, time to start checking out books.
Yeah.
Boom. End.
That's it.
And then we're going to move into 8 where we're going to meet Sloane.
Yeah. Got a lot of feelings about
Sloane.
Got
a lot of feelings about Sloane. And we get to watch more people die. Being a second year, it's so tough.
Yeah, Violet really does not want to learn anyone's names because a lot of them are going to die.
Interesting. So, all right, here we are.
An hour later. 7 chapters in.
Did you stick with us? How drunk are you now? And tune in because we're going to go to the next 7 and then the next 7 and then the next 7.
Yep. All the way up to chapter 66 in preparation.
And because
of Onyx
this
Storm.
book moves fast, there is a lot that's coming up in the next 7 chapters and then the next after that. There's no moment of
this
chill.
Is what I mean. It should have been 2 books. There's that much information.
These first 7 chapters are the most tame, not as much happened. And I still feel like a lot happened. Yep. But
we're going to have to talk faster. And
we're going to have to skip probably some bigger things and just get to what we noted that was important that we didn't note the first time. Whew. Stick with us. We're going. We're prepping you. And I have so much to talk about moving forward. So,
but we will talk to you next time.
Bye.